The goal of being a first-time buyer in Toronto is still the dream of many Canadians. But the overall sentiment of young people and first-time buyers in Toronto is that the odds are truly stacked against them. Prices of these homes in Toronto are just so expensive. Incomes do not line up with those prices at all, and rents are so high to the point where it may feel impossible for a lot of young Canadians to save up for that down payment. So with so few advantages that first-time buyers in Toronto have when it comes to buying their first home, we want to make sure that we know the few advantages and the few incentives that the Canadian provincial and municipal governments do offer you as a first-time buyers to get ahead. So today we're going to go over the 4 first-time buyer incentives that different governments do offer first-time buyers that I think is pretty effective when it comes to looking in cities like Toronto. We'll be looking at number 1, your land transfer tax rebate. Number 2, your first-time home buyer tax credit. Number 3, we'll be looking at your first home savings account. And number 4, your RRSP Home Buyer Plan. This video should definitely give you a head start on first-time buyer incentives in Toronto. And of course, this channel over here is all about helping first-time buyers achieve their very first home and keep you educated throughout that first-time buying process. My name is Gabriele Battista from Homes into Reality. I'm a GTA real estate agent helping first-time buyers in Toronto and very passionate about the topic. I want to get more young people into home ownership and make sure that dream does become a reality for many young Canadians. Now let's start with our land transfer tax rebate. And the land transfer tax in general is probably going to be our most expensive closing cost. It's something that you pay upon closing with the lawyers, and it's a one-time cost per property transaction. Now the amount that you do pay by the land transfer tax is calculated by the sliding scale equation. We won't go over it, but I will show you some examples. But it depends on a couple factors. Number 1, the price you pay for the property and where that property is located. Where the incentive comes for the first-time buyer is you can receive up to $8,475 off of the land transfer tax amount, depending on a couple factors. Real life example of a condo in Toronto, you pay, because the condo is located in Toronto, you pay 2 land transfer tax that total in the amount of $18,950. You'll see the math that I have for how that land transfer tax works, but you pay double the land transfer tax because it's located in Toronto. In the end, it is expensive enough, $650, that you get the full rebate of the property, and because it's in Toronto as well, you get a full rebate of $8,475, giving you a total land transfer tax cost of $10,475. Now we'll use another example with a townhouse in Ottawa, which sold for $890,000. And because that property is located in Ottawa and not in Toronto, you only initially have to pay 1 land transfer tax, which totals $14,275. With the rebate, because it's outside of Toronto, you get $4,000 off your land transfer tax, having a total owing of $10,275. And since one of the major expenses that you do pay when buying your first home is closing costs, it's really good to know that there's a little bit less money you have to save up when considering that budget for that first home. The next incentive we're looking at is your first-time home buyer tax credit. And this is actually an updated tax credit as of 2022, which you'll be receiving more money. The actual first-time home buyer tax credit is fairly simple, and essentially how it works is in the year that you do buy your very first home, when you're filing your personal taxes for that year, you go to your accountant and you say, hey, I bought my first home this year, and can I get the first-time home buyer tax credit? And what that tax credit should do is you'll be able to deduct up to $10,000 off of your personal taxes, and you would not have to pay personal taxes on it. It's a big deduction to your personal tax. And with doing all the math there, you would essentially get a rebate up to $1,500 depending on your tax bracket that you're deducting your money from. What has changed in the past was in the recent budget in 2022, the federal government proposed to double that amount. It used to be $5,000 of a tax credit. Now it's $10,000 of the tax credit, essentially doubling the amount of money that you may be able to save from $750 to $1,500. So that's an added bonus on some money you'll be able to take back. It may pay for a couple of inspections, may pay for your moving supplies, but you know what, as a first-time buyer, every little bit helps. Moving on now to your first home savings account. And this is an account that is very recent and is now starting to ramp up into many other banks and brokerages for you to start investing your money in. And that is something that was proposed last year. Actually, no, it came out this year in 2023. And you will now be able to invest up to $8,000 every single year as a first-time buyer, up to an amount of $40,000. And you're able to invest that money, and when you're ready to then buy your home, you can take out that money tax-free and put it towards your down payment. The great news about that as well, it also works similar to your RRSP as a tax deduction. So not only are you able to tax the $8,000 you're putting into the first home savings account, take it off your personal income tax, you're able to take out that money tax-free whenever you are ready to buy that first home. Now, although the first home saving account definitely does not make a house more affordable, I don't think it's going to change the market and give you guys a huge leg up, but absolutely what the first home savings account is a saving vehicle that encourages you to start investing early into your future home ownership. It allows you, over a 5-year span of putting $8,000 each year, I'm, getting ready to invest. I'm encouraged to save money and put it towards that first home down payment. So that's always something that's encouraging for young Canadians to do. Start early, especially if you're building up and you're not going to buy your first home for 5 years. It's good to get started early. You want to learn more about the first home savings account? I did do a video a few months back when it was first initially released, and I talked about the advantages and disadvantages and some of the benefits on the taxation side as well. Now, the last incentive we're going to go over in this video is the RRSP Home Buyer Plan. What this Home Buyer Plan allows you to do is you're able to withdraw up to $35,000 from your RRSPs and put that towards your down payment. Most of the time, you cannot take money out of your RRSPs without penalty because that's meant to go towards your retirement. But with the Canadian government understanding that it's very expensive to save up for a down payment, if there is money locked in your RRSPs, you can take that money out up to $35K and put it towards that first home. You do need to pay that money back to your RRSPs eventually. After 2 years, you have a 15-year period where you have to slowly pay back that amount to your RRSPs. You don't lose that money, but the intention is you can borrow that money from your RRSPs, but you eventually have to put it back in. One piece of good news as well is, let's say you have a spouse and those two people will be purchasing that property, you'll be able to take out up to $70,000. And so 35 times 2 and put that towards your down payment, which is a very sizable chunk of money. If you just have it sitting there, you'll be able to use it and put it towards that down payment to buy that first home. Now, similar to the first home savings account, if you don't have any money in your RRSPs, this plan is useless. So the big encouragement that you want to have is you want to get started investing early and often, get well prepared financially, so you do have money in your RRSPs that you can take out and put towards that down payment, or you are putting money in your first home savings account that you can put down and put towards that goal. So that's the best thing to look at, is using your time early on to be able to put money down and put it towards that down payment. I'd also look at the first home savings account in your RRSPs. If you are looking to buy a home in your short term, let's say in 1 year, you may not have enough time to build up a lot of money in your first home savings account. So I would tend to agree that the RRSP Home Buyer Plan is a more effective strategy to be able to take money out. Versus, let's say you're looking to buy a home in 5 years. The first home savings account is going to be a very helpful tool because not only will you get tax deductions off your first home purchase, but you also will be able to get that money out tax-free as well. That's the last of the video today. That's all the first time home buyer incentives that people in Toronto should have good access to, at least the most important ones. If you have any questions, my comments are always open. My contact information is always below, my phone number, my email, and a link if you want to book a call with me. I'm always happy to help first time buyers in Toronto and get you guys a head start. So that's where the videos every single week are going to come on here. If you also want to follow my Instagram, I post weekly content about being a first-time buyer there as well. And if you're looking to make your first big move or your first big rental move, whatever that may be, I'm here to help first-time buyers, first-time renters in the city. And I hope that we can help you, make that move much less stressful, do so with confidence. And in the end, we want to make you become future homeowners. Take care.